Well, great. I'll share my screen here. Get going. Well, we'll go ahead and get this rolling. So, welcome everyone. This is okay. Gary, I'm going to mute you just in case here. I think we got a little feedback going. Hey, welcome. This is a webinar we're titling Church Growth Essentials for the Fall. Proven strategies to grow your church and build lasting connections. So for us, we work at Outreach. We're putting this on. There's some things in here that we'll be addressing, and we have some product solutions too. So we want to bring some awareness to that. But really our heart in this is to just come alongside the church, see the church grow, see people see churches reach more people with the gospel of Jesus, and ultimately lives transforms and change. So that's our heart in this. So as we go through this, we hope that you'll get some ideas. Some of these things that you'll already be doing, and you might have some ideas that you can share with people in the chat as we go and share. Hey, we do that. Here's a learning, whatever. We're happy to have that dialogue going in the chat. We have some people in our team, from our team, who are on the chat. So if there's questions that come up and I don't see it, they'll be able to jump in and maybe help answer some of those questions. But yeah, without further ado, we'll go ahead and jump in. Let's see here. So what we're going to cover today, number one, an invitational culture in your church. 2, growing marketing and growth, and then first impressions. Okay, so this is going to be myself and Tim Speweik, who's on the call as well. Tim is I think he lives in Michigan, but right on that Ohio border, and so he's coming to us from the office there in Toledo. I have this up here. If you want to get these slides, here's a QR code. It's basically outreach.com/Jamie, Jamie. That'll take you to a form. You fill it out. We'll send you the slide deck. We'll have this up at each of the main sections throughout, but just a heads up. So, all right. Let's see here. All right, Tim, I think you were going to take over from here. You want to jump in?
All right, great. Hey, it's great to be with everybody today. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Blessed to share some opportunity with you guys and some ideas and maybe help you reach your community for Christ, grow your churches. So we'll kind of dive into here. Go right on ahead here, Jamie. So we're talking about invitations and invitations to your church. This is the number one tool that you could use in your church. And what's so cool about invitation culture and having invitation is that it doesn't cost hardly anything to do this. So we are a marketing company. We love you to use a lot of our tools, and there's a lot of great tools to use. But we also believe that the number one way to grow your church is by an invitation from a personal invite. So here's some stats for you here. Number one way, 82% of unchurched would attend if invited. Crazy number, isn't it? That large of a number would actually attend if invited. 2%, we have 2% here. It's actually less than 2% of our congregations actually invite people to come to church. And then 70% of new attendees come via that personal invite. So, what we want to do and have your churches do is if we can increase this 2% up to 3, 4, 5, 10%, what that would do to increase the numbers into your church if the congregation actually goes out and invites. So we want to kind of touch base on this and a little bit on how to do that. You go on to the next slide there, Jamie. So churches that equip members with invitation tools, invite cards, scripts, digital shareables, and model it from the stage, see up to double the invite rate. Now, what's important here is it has to be what we said, modeled from the stage. This has to come from pastor. This has to come from the pulpit. This vision of invitation culture has to come from the top down, or it's never really going to work within the church. So this is as simple as creating an invite card. And our suggestion would be business size card. Why business size card? Because this is something a male can put in his wallet or a female can put into her purse very easily. You know, we do sell odd sizes, and that's great, and it'll get a good attention. But as for carrying something around, having just a small business card is very effective, with that information of your church on it. Now, we all know that we're supposed to witness for Christ and reach others to help grow our church. Now, that's a tall hurdle for a lot of people. But if you can supply your congregation with a business card, just an invite card from you, it is so much easier to lower that anxiety level down and create an easy invite just by handing somebody a card saying, hey, would love you to stop by and check out our church. Here's some information about our church, where they can immediately go right there. Also, have you ever tried to explain where your church is at, or where when your service times are to a person, and then you walk away, they have no, what are their chances that they're actually going to show up in there? But if they had a tangible card in their hand, it's going to make that opportunity a lot more secure for them to step into your church. It also provides a lot more opportunity for your members to actually invite people to your church. And so statistically, we want to bump this 2% way up. And have you ever heard of the 80-20 rule, where 20% of the people are doing 80% of the work? Well, if you had those 20% of those people inviting instead of 2%, wow, would you increase some huge numbers there? So, and like right here on this next slide saying people just need a judge. 63% of people in the congregations don't even invite because they were never told to. Well, this is also the Great Commission. We are all called to go into the world and reach others. So we all got to be a part of it. And you can double this by having a tool in your hand easily. And of course, key events are critical during the times that you want to do invites. Hearts are more open. People are more open during Easter, Christmas. And then we've got obviously some other big days in here: Mother's Day, Father's Day, Back to Church Sunday, and any other special Sunday that you might have at church. Go on ahead. So churches that regularly encourage members to invite others experience significantly higher growth rates, especially around the key events. So it's not rocket science. If you want to grow, we actually have to invite people to come to the church, right? So this is very simple practice. It's just something that really a lot of our churches and our congregations just simply do not do. And so we've got some really cool tools at Outreach that you can access as well. This is one of our invite stations. Very neat. You put this out in the lobby outside of the sanctuary where people can just jump in. You place the invite cards right in these holders, and they can just go out and grab a stack and then take them out. And if there's encouragement coming from the pulpit, say, hey, grab a stack, invite your friends, your neighbors, your coworkers, gas station. It doesn't matter, especially around those big events, and say, hey, this is really important for us to do it. Actually, God calls all of us to do this. And so it is a great way and the most inexpensive way to grow your church. Some more signage here, some more different invite stations that we have, different colors that you can use. You can actually create a background if you like, and for these invite stations. And we've got a couple different styles of invite stations.
Yeah. Hey, I'm gonna just add a little something to this. Tim talked about, having it business card size. You have it in your wallet. I have my wallet here. I always have a stack of my business cards and then a stack of church invite cards in my wallet, because I just never know when that conversation is going to come up and I have to be ready. So if I have my wallet in my pocket all the time, and that's part of just creating an invitational culture where it's like, as I'm praying in the morning, like, okay, God, show me the opportunities to be used today. Maybe in a conversation in a grocery store, this has happened a few times, or at a restaurant. And, before you know, it's like, oh, this is turning into a gospel conversation, or, kind of a pre-gospel conversation. And I'll often lead with, hey, where do you attend church? And I'll just lead with the assumption that they're attending church somewhere. And it's very interesting, the responses you get. It's like, well, I went to church growing up, or, and then like you instantly know. or you instantly, kind of have a better idea of where they're at, or, well, we're kind of in between churches right now, and or, man, we're going to this church and we're on fire. It's like, oh, cool, that's awesome. But then as I'm talking, usually, that will lead to additional conversation. I pull out my wallet and I start kind of fiddling with it, and then I'll pull out one of the invite cards and say, hey, by the way, here's an invite card. We'd love for you to join us on Sundays. Here's our service times. Here's our address. Very simple. So as Tim mentioned at the very beginning, this is the number one way to, get more visitors at your church. And it all comes down to equipping your members to be inviters. These tools here that you're seeing, these stands, we put one of these large stands at each of our main entrances to the sanctuary. It stands out very simply. We went with one that has the same design. It says invite someone. It can change, invite someone, change a life, is what we went with. And then we did these two smaller ones at each of the front doors. So again, we just went with the invite someone thing. And what's nice about these is, they're crazy affordable. They're like, I don't know, maybe $30 or something like that, for the stand itself. Super versatile. The front, it's like a clear plastic with magnet. So you just take it off and you can print something new, put it on. These designs that you see on the left side, the Be the Church, Go Make Disciples, those come printed out when it ships to you. So you can use any of those designs to matching invite cards. Or if you have a special event, like we were doing some different trainings, you can just print it out, slap it in there, then use it for other purposes too. So it doesn't take up very much space, which is nice. And, comes with these little acrylic card holders. We just put a command strip on the back, and then it holds those cards for you. So, sorry, Tim, go ahead.
Yeah, no, and just another quick point on an invite card. There are pastors who will put a QR code on there, and then that QR code, if scanned, so the people who are techie wanted to scan that can send them to a landing page. It can talk to them about a message series that they come up. So if they're maybe you're doing a new message series, say on relationships, or you're doing one on money, and people that could really help out, they can get to it. That QR code, then that landing page can be changed at any time. So the QR code remains the same, and you can print thousands of them. And yet that landing page will change per maybe message series or something that speaks to it. And then then you can take that card out. And if maybe there's somebody in your workplace that's struggling with their marriage, and your pastor has a relationship series coming up, something that could speak to them, it'd be easy to change it. So it's a really cool idea to do that as well. And then, of course, we all know invitations lead to transformations, getting people into the church, save marriages, get them off of addictions, obviously eternity for Christ. So this is something that is just easily done by just reaching out and inviting somebody to church.
For me personally, I came to Christ because somebody invited me. And when they first invited me, I was like, yeah, right. Never doing that. Never going. I don't want to come to this Bible study. And, but all they did was what they did do. They were faithful in just planting that seed, and so maybe that's all your job is, just plant that seed. We'll get into, kind of, more marketing conversion rates here in the next section, that time that you invite might be the very first time that they heard it. They're not ready, but they're ready for that seed to be planted, but they're not quite ready to make the decision. So anyways, the many testimonies begin with somebody invited me. That hits very close to home. And I know that you all have many stories like that as well.
So yeah, just to finish up our takeaway here, that people are open, but we have to be able to reach out to them. They're available in the community. People want change in their life. We're in a time and society that people need hope, right? And so we need these tools of encouragement to ask people to bring them in and then get their lives changed, and allow that for Christ to move into their hearts. So creating an invitation culture is the fastest, most scalable way to reach your community.
right? We're going to transition to the next section here, but I'll add another note here that we went through this. We just moved from Colorado Springs, where Outreach is headquartered, to Chattanooga, Tennessee, and we visited a bunch of churches, trying to just pray through, where does God want us right now? And we landed on this church, and we went from a church of 6,000 to a church of 200. Much different systems and processes and decision making and budgets and everything. And as we talk about these things, we fully understand internally for you, there may be some hurdles that you have to work through with your teams, casting vision and getting people on board. All of that makes total sense. What I find oftentimes is something like this for invitation cards is it's so cheap to get started that those hurdles go down because the investment is so small, but the return is so large, which is really fun. And for us, what happened was I got frustrated with just how long it was taking to make decisions. So I just printed some myself and started using them. And then as others started seeing it, they're like, oh, I want some of those. And I'd give them a stack, and then I'd give somebody else a stack. And then before you know it, it's like, hey, where do I get more of those? And then it's like, okay, let's make this more of a bigger official thing. And so it just kind of started ground level and just kind of swelled up. And then it's like, okay, now we have not a fishbowl, but we have a clear cylinder thing up on stage with ping pong balls in a basket next to it. And then each Sunday morning, if you invited somebody, you add a white ball. And if you shared the gospel with somebody, you add a colored ball, an orange ball. And then we see the container fill up each week. And then when it gets full, we count the balls. We keep track of that. We empty it out, and then we start over. And then we periodically share with the congregation, hey, we invited this many people. We had this many gospel conversations, etc. So if that gives you any ideas, that's great. All right, next section, marketing and growth. So we're talking about strategic approaches to expand your reach. So this is now going from simple, create an invitational culture to, okay, now we're talking about true marketing pieces. So again, if you want to get these slides, feel free to scan this code. The URL this will take you to, or the website this will take you to, is outreach.com/Jamie, Jamie. So you can check that out. All right, 80% of growing churches invest in marketing. So the key here is growing churches, right? So there's another 20% that are growing without marketing, word of mouth. Maybe they're big enough and things are just happening. Maybe they're doing an invitational culture and it's just happening, right? But of those churches, the vast majority of the churches that are growing actively invest in some form of outreach or marketing. And I really like the word invest here because it's different. Like you think about an expense, it's like putting your money into a depreciating asset or putting your money into asset that's growing, right? And so marketing should, let's look at it as an investment that should have a return, okay? So churches that consistently use social media and digital advertising grow 2 to 3 times faster than those relying solely on word of mouth. So all that to say, let's make sure that with whatever our plans are, that we're also including social and digital in those plans. Okay. And 82% of unchurched people said they'd be open to attending church if invited. We covered this stat earlier. So basically like 8 out of 10 people, if you asked, they say that they would come. And then marketing helps bridge this gap. Personal invites help bridge this gap. All right. So show me your budget, I'll show you your heart. If you've probably heard this before, where it's like if you gave your credit card statement or your bank statement to somebody and they reviewed it they'd be able to kind of see where your heart is. Are you spending a lot of time on kids activities, grocery store, or is that the liquor store, right? Like there's a lot that you can reveal from where you're spending your money. So budget priorities reveal mission and focus, and marketing line item equals a growth mindset. So what we're talking about here is let's make sure that we're putting a line item in the budget, the church budget, for marketing. All right. And I think a lot of the battles, if you will start kind of in the budgeting stage. And intentional investment yields return. And there's that word investment again. So this is a big one so churches that strategically allocate 3% to 10% to marketing and outreach often see proportional growth in attendance, engagement, and community impact. So, the question is, how much of our budget should we put toward marketing? 10% is a lot, especially, no matter how big or small you are, you go 10%. That's a big one. If you're not there, or you're not doing any marketing at all, I'd say, try to start at a minimum of 3%. If you have to go lower than that, just to kind of get your foot in the door. What's the reference to this stat? I have that. I've been adding the references on all these, but I missed it on this one, so I'll get that for you. Yes, Suzette, you bet. But even the church, I'm at now, I mentioned that we moved to Chattanooga. We're having that conversation now because one of the first weeks I visited, they're handing out the budget because they're going through that right now, and I'm looking at, it's like, what's the marketing, or what's the line item for marketing and outreach, and it's zero. And with what we do every day, that just like kills me. So we're going through that and trying to fight it at that level, because just like your home budget, if you're wanting to have some kind of big expense, if you're not budgeting for it, it makes it a lot harder to get buy-in across the board, right? But if you get that buy-in early on, it makes the spending piece later much, much easier. And now, what I want to say here too is, start, if you're not doing anything, I'd say start small. And then the question is, well, where do you spend that money? What kind of marketing do you do? I say let's start with a couple testing pieces, and this also does not have to all land on you. So what it's like being in ministry. You're wearing way too many hats oftentimes. Let's delegate that to somebody who's really excited about it, passionate about it. Kay said it can be hard to sell, but education of your congregation with this info is so important, for sure. Yep. And and a lot of times it's easy for people to say no, or I tried that one time, but so we're never going to do it again. And say, okay, well, what was the focus? What was the design? What was the timing? How much buy-in did we have? What was the onboarding process? If we had new visitors, was anybody tracking it? All those things. So when it comes back to, where should you spend that money? I'd say, let's get somebody on board to kind of own it and that we're delegating to. Let them go and test, and they're reporting back on how those results are, right? So let's start small, and then we're constantly refining, looking at the data to make it better and better and better. And then as it gets better, it becomes a no-brainer to then increase the budget because you're getting these results. So where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. There we go. That's enough on the budget side. I'm going to turn it to Tim to talk about direct mail.
All right, thanks, Jamie. Yeah, we're going to touch base on direct mail, and you may be saying to yourself, don't know if you use direct mail out there or not. And a lot of the word on the street is always, does direct mail still work? Is that still an effective tool? And I will tell you that while social media grabs all the headlines, of course, but direct mail has made a quiet comeback, and it's been actually very effective. If you think about it, competition in the mailbox has about fallen off, right? So people who used to have a lot of bills in their mailbox and a lot of other mail, that is no longer there because most people are doing their billing online. So they're not receiving statements. Everybody wants to go green so that there's less mail in there. What that means is that your mailbox is opened up more and that a mailer from your church is going to stand out a lot more and gain a lot more of attention. So direct mail has been super effective lately, and even Fortune 500 companies are going back to using direct mail marketing. Here's some stats here too that a cold outreach response received from a mailer from your church to your community, you can see somewhere between that 0.5% to 1.5% response rate off of a mailing campaign. It's pretty phenomenal. And if you're doing it during a holiday, Easter, Christmas, you're going to see a higher response rate. And then also, if you're effectively boosting it with other forms of marketing, whether it's social media or you're doing yard signs, digital billboard, whatever it might be, marketing is all about touches. And we want to be able to touch your community as many times as possible through different forms. So direct mail becomes more effective when somebody in your community is familiar with your church and they see it there. So that's a combo. We want to combo that even in outreach with social media a lot of times. And statistically, they're saying that about 0.25% of adults aren't even on social media. So if that's the factor and you're only using social media as an outreach tool, you might want to consider direct mail because guess what? Everybody does have a mailbox. So that makes it a great tool to reach everybody within your community. You can go on to the next one there, Jamie. So some optimization factors. So we want, when you're doing a direct mail marketing campaign, you have to plan this out at least a month and ahead of time. That any mail house would need that, your artwork and payment ahead of time. So once we process your mailer and get it out, we want it to hit kind of that 5 to 10 days in front of that event. So that's kind of the optimum time where we have found that if it's too far out, people forget about it, but yet close enough where they can still plan for it. So, and then targeting, we have 3 to 5 mile radius here. Now that depends on your community, your population. You could be in a rural area and that may not reach many people. You could be in the downtown New York City where you don't have to go but a quarter, you have to go less than a mile and you're going to capture a whole lot of people. So it just depends on the budget, depends on but we do know we want to be within a 20-minute drive of your facility in order to do the marketing, because that makes the most sense, the most effective. Outside of there, percentages fall off of reaching people. So the design has to be clear, a clear call to action. It always has to invite somebody. You just don't want to throw out a postcard. You want to have some particular parts and pieces on it. We can consult with you on those, but some of the highlights would be, we have down here family imagery, huge, you showing worship, make your card. Don't use stock photos, making sure you're mentioning something about children's ministry being a fun, clean, safe environment. Again, you can only put so many things on, so many words and images on a postcard. So we definitely need your website on there. So to drive them, all that marketing we want to do is to drive them to your website where they can get more information. But, a couple other pieces, a map, making it colorful, oversized if possible. So we can always consult with you on those items that should be on your mailer in order to make it effective. And then consistently doing some mailings and doing outreach 2 to 3 times per year, especially during we have 3 natural church growth rhythms in our country, which is Christmas, it's Easter, and it's the fall time. Those are times that hearts are more open to coming into the church. Those are the times that we definitely want to be doing more outreach as a church. Go ahead, Jimmy. So church is typically seeing 3 to 10 new families per 5,000 postcard mailings with some of those campaigns. and yielding one response to 250 cards. So the response rates are still really good. Now, now different parts of the country do struggle with some. Maybe if you're in the upper northeast of the U.S. or the upper west Seattle area, there can be some hard soil. So sometimes you may not see the response rates that you want. But we're kind of using this as an overall view. Certainly, we always see higher response rates in the Bible Belt areas in that. And here's some samples of some cards, Christmas cards. Obviously, what do you see here? You see color, you see simplicity, and bring the whole family. You know, make sure that you're invited. We want you to come here. Bring your whole family in. Give some quick information on that. Go ahead and check out a couple of samples that we have here. Again, another Christmas card. You see on the one on the right, we've got a map down below there. So you may think that everybody knows where you're located at. They don't. So it is clear that you want to show them exactly where to go. That's why, again, your website is, you're having your service times on here is critical as well, and maybe a little blurb about your church. But yeah, we definitely want to intrigue and pull them in. And again, you see this card here, new series, new kids space. You know, that's exciting. You get the kids in there, right? And you get them loving it. They'll pull the parents right back in every Sunday. So this is an important part, is to make sure that you let the parents know that the kids are going to have fun and they're going to be safe.
And this one's also, like you said earlier, Tim, a great example of showing pictures, like actual pictures from the church, because it helps people get an idea of this is what it's going to be like when I come, right?
Okay, here's a quick video of in our production area of the postcards being processed here. We have a very, very neat, simplistic one-shot run with all the postcards. This machine is double printing them. It is addressing the cards. It is cutting the cards, sorting the cards. They come out at the end down here, and then the associates will put them into mail trays. Right here you'll see, and then they're going to be sorted and going out the door for marketing, and then they are shipped to your local area where they are then distributed, and we're trying to hit that timeline again of that 5 to 10 days prior to your event.
Yeah, part of the reason why we put that in the deck in this presentation is because oftentimes when you think, oh, this all sounds great, but man, I don't know where to get started, it can feel overwhelming at times, but we can help you from everything, as Tim mentioned, design to printing, the mailing list. We help you with postage, delivery, all that. But that machine, it does about 65,000 cards per hour. So we do a lot of cards.
All right, we're going to kind of move on to a new mover strategy. Not sure if you're familiar with new movers cards. This is something I believe that every church in the United States should be doing. Outside of the personal invite, I believe that this is the second best touch that you could give somebody, and that is a warm invite from your church with a postcard. So this is a program that we have at Outreach at 79 cents per card. You actually get to determine the budget on these things, and anybody that moves in around your church, and you get to determine that that map size, whether you're going 1 mile, 2 mile, 3 mile out, and we can run a full report for you as well to show you how many people actually are moving in around your church. As soon as they move in, we send them an invite, an automated system that sends them an invite inviting them to your church, and they're personalized because the names we're capturing the data possibly mostly off of new utility hookups once they move in and that. But look at some of these stats here. So 80% of people are more likely to try a new church once they're in the first 6 months of moving in. And then also looking at 68% of new movers actually seek local connections. They're looking for these connections, and this is just a fantastic time to reach them with a postcard inviting them to your church. It's automated. We're targeting new families. It's reaching them during a critical life transition. This is a consistent monthly outreach every time. There's no commitment here too. This is a subscription, but it's not a contract, and you actually get to determine the budget and scope of this. So if you had $50 a month, you had $100 a month, you had $100 a month, you're going to reach 120 families every month that move in around your church, inviting them to your church. So again, down at the bottom here, you see life transitions create spiritual openness. And when routines are disrupted, hearts are more receptive. It's just a great time to reach out to them, invite them into the church. I'm going to check out the next one there. So this is a whole, go ahead. You want to explain that, Jimmy?
Yeah, so this is just a quick 3-minute video. We'll play it. I think it'll give you an idea of what this new mover piece looks like. I think seeing it really helps. And at the end, at the end of the next section, we'll open it up for Q&A. And then after we get through like a quick Q&A, we'll be available to do a quick live demo of this particularly, and we'll ask for a couple church addresses so we can plug those in and just show you how it works, to maybe give you some ideas. So here we go.
I don't hear the video, Jamie.
You don't hear that?
I know.
Can anyone hear that or no? Oh,
I don't hear it either.
All right, let's see. One second.
No, no sound.
Let's try this. 1 second.
Hey, it's Jake with Outreach. I want to talk about our new mover mailing program. Studies show that people are exponentially more likely to engage or re-engage.
You said yeah or no?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, here we go.
With the church during seasons of transition. And we know that one of the most significant, frequent seasons of change that we see for people is when they move, making it a prime opportunity for your church to extend a warm, welcoming invitation on an automated monthly basis to those who have just landed in your community and are looking for a place to belong. Setup for New Mover is fast and easy. The first thing you'll see is just the New Mover platform. You can access this directly by going on outreach.com's website or by going through your Glue Plus membership, which includes 50 postcards every month. It'll ask for 2 pieces of information. One is your church's address, and the second is the mile radius around your church that you want to reach. Now, if you're in a more densely populated suburban area, you might consider starting with a smaller radius and working your way up from there. But if you're in a more rural, spread out area, maybe consider a larger radius to start and work your way down from there. But this is all customizable, and you can tweak it however much you want to get to the numbers and the map that you want to see. Now, the next thing you'll see is the map that you've created. This is made up of individual mail routes that are all selectable and deselectable. On the right side of your screen, you'll see the average number of monthly movers along with the corresponding price. Below that, you'll see the maximum number of monthly movers with the corresponding price. A great way to control the amount that you spend monthly is through this next step, which allows you to put a cap on your monthly spending. Now again, the amount you'll usually spend will be relatively close to that average number you saw before. But this is a great way to guarantee that you'll never spend more than this set amount, making this a very predictable budget line item for you and your team. The next option you have is to use what we call multi-reach. This allows you to not only send 1 piece of mail to new movers, but 2. So not only do you double your marketing touch points with those movers, but it also allows you to get creative with how you might want to do something sequential with these 2 pieces of messaging that will go to the same people. Now, the next thing you can do is extend your first month's mailing to essentially be retroactive and also include those who have moved within up to the last 6 months. This is great if you think about it, because people who are living somewhere for just 6 months are still very much in the season of decision and discovery and learning and exploring, figuring out what community looks like for them. The last step is the design. This is the fun part. You get to pick from any of our designs that we have, or of course, if you want to submit your own artwork, we'd love to work with you on that. Now, church leader, that is it. That's all you have to do. Now, you can get back to what matters most, which is doing the work of ministry in your local church, and you can leave the rest of this up to us. This is how you can rest assured now that on a monthly automated basis, new movers to your community will receive a warm, welcoming invitation to your church with the New Mover mailing program from Outreach.
Awesome. So hopefully that gives you, oops.
Hey, it's Jake with Outreach.
Not that again. Hopefully that gives you a little better idea of how that works. And again, at the end of this, after the Q&A, we'll do a live demo if anyone wants to give their address. Douglas asked for the link. Maybe Richard or someone, if you can put a link to New Mover in there, that'd be great. Catherine said that they just signed up, which is awesome. She said, we just signed up for the New Mover program 2 days ago. Nice. The setup process was very user-friendly. Thank you. Great. Thanks for that endorsement. And we typically have a $79 setup fee. We're waiving that. And then we're also doing up to $100 free on the first month for your primary mailing. So if you did multi-reach or jumpstart, that's not included in that $100, but your primary mailing up to $100 free. So we love this. And part of the reason why we share that too is because sometimes maybe you've heard about that, but sometimes like, I never heard about that. That's a new idea, it gets your brain going a little bit. So if that gives you some ideas, great.
Yeah, and just to wrap it up there too, if you're looking at this here on the average tithing amount around $2,800, your return on your investment, if you did a New Movers Outreach campaign for 1 year, you literally need one person to come into your church, become part of your church to get your return on your investment. So it doesn't take much at all. And by doing that, you're going to exponentially grow your church as well. You're going to add to a family who can now give and participate and volunteer and help and financially help support your church. You there, Jamie, or did I lose you?
Yep, I'm here. So, yeah, this $2,800, this is really interesting because even, we talked about how it can start at the budgeting stage, and we talk about it being an investment, and so, if we're doing $1,000 a month to start out with different marketing pieces or $2,000 a month or whatever that number is, now we start, we have to start measuring how that investment is paying off, right? And so we have to have patience or committing to the strategy. But ultimately, whether it's, social media, direct mail, invite cards, New Mover, all of these pieces fit together. And man, if you get one person, one family that comes on average over a 12-month period, they give $2,800 on average. So then that pays for that. Now, keep in mind, that's an average. So many people give much, much higher than that. Many people give below that. So it averages out to about $2,800. This is an interesting data point. This 3% is the typical giving rate across the US versus the 10% tithe goal. I included that. I thought it was interesting. And so say if that $2,800, if you get 10 new families giving, that's $28,000. And so now if we're tracking the ROI on all of this, it should, basically pay for itself. So there we go. All right. Digital is the new front door. 85% of first-time guests check your website or social media before visiting. I think we know this, but I want to include it just because it's a good reminder. I love this little GIF here, this person coming to the front door, the doorbell. Hey, what's going on in there? But, so the GIF is terrifying, Richard says. But, we want to make sure that those first impressions on the digital side look good. So is your website look good? Are there people images on there? Can people quickly find your service times and address? We work with, I'd say on average about 25,000 churches per year. And some churches are really crushing it, but very often we run across churches, we look at a website and you cannot find the basic info about service times and address on their homepage. You have to go digging for it. So the harder it is, the conversion on that digital touch just falls way off. Your Google listing, I'd say I want to encourage you to just do Google reviews. Very, very simple. The better Google reviews you have, the higher ranking you have with Google, the better you'll show up on those searches. And that's a whole different topic that we can get into. And then, of course, social media. So your social, you want to have updated and active and have consistent posts. If somebody goes to your social media and the last post is from 3 years ago, they're going to be like, what's going on at this church? Is there anything even happening there? So 78% of churchgoers under 40 discover new churches through social media before attending in person. I don't think any of us are surprised by that. 60%, 67% active engagement of growing churches post content at least 3 times per week across platforms. So that's multiple platforms. It's not just Facebook. It's Facebook, it's Insta, it's, LinkedIn maybe, all across all platforms. So the interesting thing there is it's growing churches, right? Posting 3 times a week is not that hard. But then it may be hard thinking, well, what kind of content am I posting? Well, we have a solution for that we have a couple suggestions I'll suggest here in just a second. So, and 4.2 times growth multiplier, churches with consistent social media strategies grow attendance 4.2 times faster than those without. All right, so this is just a quick glimpse into one of our solutions called Outreach Social. And so basically, there's a monthly fee to it. We've got 4,000, 5,000 graphics on there that you can choose different categories from. You add your logo, and basically you set up auto posting and auto branding. So you'll log in, and in 5 minutes you go in, you connect your social accounts, you choose what categories of graphics you like, add your logo, and it'll automatically schedule daily posts to Facebook, Instagram, and X for the entire year. And that is not to replace your social media strategy. That's just to help supplement your social media strategy. So you get that going. So when somebody comes to that digital front door, they look on social to see, hey, is this church even doing anything? They see some professionally designed graphics with your logo automatically on them. And that just helps keep that consistency going for you. So when you do post those other important messages and updates, the engagement will be a little bit higher. And then that product also has social clips. So if you've ever seen those videos on social where somebody's talking, it's a video and you have the words on the screen, we have a solution for that. That's in that same Outreach Social piece. So not only do you get the graphics and the auto posting and auto branding, you also get the social clips. So basically you'll upload your sermon video. Our AI solution transcribes it. It gives you a transcription of that. And then it will suggest different clips from the sermon that you can then, adjust and tweak and schedule those directly from the platform. So, that's becoming very, very popular now. And so that on top of the social images that get posted becomes really, really compelling. Those short, digestible clips, people really like those. So, and, I talk about, turn one sermon into multiple bite-sized clips. I really like talking with our church about, hey, we get to take Sunday's message and spread it throughout the entire week. James says, we use social media posts from you and it helps us have inspirational messages and does not depend on someone to have to make the post all the time. Amen. So rather than hiring a designer, you just take advantage of this. It makes it very, very easy for you. So this is, a glimpse into what some of those clips look like. This is Trace Church in Colorado Springs. So churches that repurpose sermon content into social clips see 3 times more engagement and significantly higher first-time visitor rates than those who post infrequently. So we're able to make that very, very easy for you. It can seem very daunting. Oh man, do I need a video designer or a videographer and video editing and all of that? No, you don't. So there's simple solutions that can help make that really, really easy for you. And then this piece goes to social media ads. So we do this for hundreds and hundreds of churches, social ads, mostly Facebook. I'd say right now we're seeing more return on Facebook than we are on Instagram or other platforms in terms of social ads for churches. So we've got ads that are just strictly, images with focus on clicks and impressions. We make it as easy as we can. We help you with the design if needed. You can upload your own design. We schedule it all. And those range from as low as $300 to $1,200. And then if you want to go a little bit more advanced, we have a solution that we call Visit Funnel. This is really popular right now and really taking, in the marketing world, what we would call lead gen and nurture campaigns. And so we'll basically run these social ads for you, mostly on Facebook, and we'll do Facebook forms. So the person who's on that platform scrolling, they click on a video message from the church, and there's call to action buttons there. They'll click that, and then they'll fill out a form that's directly on Facebook, so they never leave that platform. Facebook already has a lot of their data that pre-fills the form. They add a little something, hit send. It triggers all kinds of text automations and email automations, alerts people on your side. We give them a platform to go in there and message, and basically start a conversation with this potential visitor before they even come. So generally what we're seeing on average is $15 cost per lead. And then maybe like $1,000 ad will bring about 13 to 14 visitors. So, we've got cost per lead and conversions from top funnel on down to them actually visiting. So we can basically $1,000 ad. We suggest a 2 to 3 week run time on that. Doing it leading up to an event is great. If you have a sermon series or Easter, fall, Christmas, you get the idea. Now, the 7-touch rule for decision making. Marketing research consistently shows that people need at least 7 touch points with your church before making a decision to attend. The first 1 to 3 touches, you're building awareness. Touches 4 to 6, you're developing interest. And then the 7th touch often marks the turning point in decision making. Your marketing strategy must create consistent, quality touch points across multiple channels to effectively guide people through this journey. So multiple channels, think personal invites, social, direct mail, new mover cards, word of mouth, billboards, all those things throughout the community, continue to build. Looks like I going the wrong way, hitting the wrong button. So decision 7 to 8 touches 7 to 8 is decision formation. And then that should say touches 9 to 10 is action and commitment. So interesting, we say, 7 touches, 8 is great for decision formation. And that's when they're starting to make that decision. And then this touches 9 and 10, it's like, okay, now I'm going to take action, which is interesting. So biggest takeaway here, what gets budgeted gets prioritized when we're thinking about marketing, and what gets measured gets done. And so as you get into the marketing pieces, make sure that measuring those activities and the results is important, because then it's just a rinse and repeat cycle. And so we encourage you to set a dedicated marketing budget, implement strategic objectives, initiatives, then measure results to ensure ministry effectiveness is taking place. First impressions, first 5 minutes matter most. So I'm going to breeze through these very fast. If we're doing all those things to drive people into the front door, into visiting, you've got 5 minutes. This countdown, I think, is very good. We've got 5 minutes left in this presentation, but also this is the amount of time that you have to help somebody make a decision. So most guests form a first impression before the sermon even starts, often based on the parking, greeters, signage, and restroom cleanliness. Restroom cleanliness is very interesting. 7 out of 10 people decide in the first 5 to 7 minutes if they'll return to church. And the key decision points, again, parking, was it easy? Did I know where to go? Were there greeters? Was I confused when I walked in? Did I know where to go? Where do I drop off the kids? How do I get to the bathroom? Was anybody even talking to me? Were they nice? Were they mean? Was it lit? Was it dark? How did I feel? So that by the time ceremony even starts or worship even starts, 7 out of 10 people decide whether they're going to come back or not. And the hospitality equals stickiness. So you get 4 times the return rate with a warm welcome, just a warm welcome. And then 91% site friendliness as a key factor to return. Clarity reduces anxiety. It's very easy to just do some signage. There's all kinds of solutions available, cheap solutions, expensive solutions. Outreach, we have a lot of solutions for you. Clear signage and helpful volunteers retain 60% more guests over 6 months. Just by making that little bit of an investment helps a lot. And it helps, make the inside of the church look really nice too. New guests are more influenced by people and environment than preaching styles or music quality, especially on a first visit. I love these little gifts here because, wait a second, they didn't care about the sermon or how good or bad it was. Yes, that's important, but most guests are more influenced by the people and the environment that they experience. So the takeaway, sermon starts in the parking lot. Your first 5 minutes determine whether someone opens up their heart or if they're going to walk away. So gift here, this is a great example of what not to do in the parking lot. So they could probably benefit from having some parking lot greeters helping direct traffic. So there we go. That's the end of this. We'll open it up for Q&A, and anybody that has anything they want to add or ask, we'll give it a couple minutes. And then if you're interested, we'll share our screen and just do a quick walkthrough of a live new mover demo. So we'll put in somebody's address and show that to you in real time. Hey, thanks, James.
Jamie, I would add on the end there too, like anybody else, make sure your house is in order before you do all this marketing and outreach. Make sure you're cleaned up, you're ready to go. It's just as if you were going to have a party at your own house. Make sure it smells nice. The hospitality is a huge point. So make sure that's all in order prior to doing an outreach so that when you do receive people, they're going to come in there and have a great experience.
I have a question as far as languages. Do you guys do other languages?
Yeah, we do. It would have to come from you, though. The wording and that would come from you. But yeah, we can print in other languages.
Because I see that you guys take care of other, the social media part of it. So how does that work with other languages?
Social media, Jamie, can you speak to that?
Yeah, on the outreach social side of things, I don't know. Richard, do you know if we have any Spanish in there, for example? If anything, it'd be Spanish. There may be a category for Spanish.
Yes, sir. We do have some. We have some Spanish options, but really everything we have in English, we have in Spanish. We just have to work a little bit with you to make sure that we're translating it correctly. I mean, think about it. Spanish is the second most common language in the world, and Spanish is spoken in so many different countries. And so we want to make sure that we're doing the translation properly, because Mexican Spanish is not the same as Puerto Rican Spanish, et cetera, et cetera. So, but we can definitely translate that over into a Spanish translation that speaks to your community and make it work. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
So on that one, the outreach social side, where we have the 4,000 graphics, we do have a Spanish category, so you could choose that and it'll take care of it. But then on the social advertising side, we would just make sure that the design that we use for that, or the video or the copy that we use for that, is in Spanish, and we'd have to work with you to make sure that it's all lining up properly. So I saw that Nina shared an address in Carrollton, Texas. So I'm going to go ahead and walk through that here. 3227 Keller Springs, Carrollton, Texas. We're going to do, let's start with 4 Carrollton. Let's start with 2 miles. Let's see what that gets. So we're basically just putting in the address. We'll hit 2 miles. It's going to find new movers. It's searching. It kind of gives us some directions here. Got it. Understand. So right here, what it's showing us is, I got this little thing here in the way, but each one of these things that I'm scrolling over is a separate USPS carrier route. So your post office guy that's driving around each day delivering mail, this is one of his routes. So if I say, hey, we don't really want to hit these people way up here, I'll just select it. It's gonna, or I'll click it, I'll deselect it. That updates the numbers. I'll deselect this one. But we do want these down in this section, right? And you'll know your area best. If I zoom in, it looks like there's a lot of neighborhoods through here. So basically, it's very, very customizable, and it's done by carrier route for the post office. So you just click and customize what areas make sense for you. I know for us, we've got a lot of Deborah, 1 second. I know for us, we've got a lot of people building in different areas. It's like, hey, let's make sure we're capturing those areas where the big builds are happening, because we're going to get a lot of new movers in that area. And sometimes it's 20 minutes away, or further away than just the community around the church, but it makes sense because we're seeing the most there. Yeah, Deborah.
I was wondering, on these various subscriptions and services, is there a minimum amount? Because we have a pretty small church, about 40 to 45 attendees per Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
And so if we were going to start this, I know we'd have to start fairly small.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The outreach social piece, I think it starts at like $19.99 a month, and that's what gets you the clips and the graphics that auto post on social. Anyone on our team, if I have those numbers wrong, feel free to put it in the chat. But with new mover that we're looking at right now, the minimum on that is $39.50 a month, because we have a lot of setup fees. There's just a lot of setup for each church, and we work with thousands of churches doing this across the country. But that $39.50, if you have nonprofit postage, I think that gets you 50 cards each month. So there you go. So basically,
There's a lot of growth around here. And so subdivision after subdivision is popping up everywhere. And so one of the things we're really looking at is how to reach these new people coming in, because a lot of the people around here do know about us that have been here a long time. But I think the new mover one would be very interesting for our church.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially with those new builds, we're experiencing the same thing where we are as well. And, every time we do this, we hear story after story of like, man, they're building and building and building. It's like, well, this is a great solution for that. So
it's
you'll
also really good for if you're near college towns, transient areas, military bases where you have a lot of people going in and out.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So you'll choose your areas, and over on the side, you'll see what your average monthly cost would be. So if that's too high, you can deselect some routes, but I'll show you in the next screen where you can cap it so you won't go over a certain budget. If it's nonprofit rates, it's 79 cents a card. If you don't have nonprofit, it goes to 99 cents a card, but our team will also verify that with you. And if you don't have nonprofit postage set up through a 3624 application with the USPS, our team works with you through that process and make it really easy. Just because you're a 501c3 doesn't mean you have nonprofit postage authorization with the post office. So I see Deborah like, yep, got that. Probably walked through that before. And then your average monthly cost would be 164. Your max would be 211. And this is based off historical data. Specifically, we're looking at this Carrollton, Texas. So you see for them, it looks like May is a big month, but October looks like October is the biggest month for them. Every area is a little bit different. So you choose your area, hit next step, and this is where you can cap your monthly mailings. So you say, no, I don't want to cap. I want to reach everyone. So you're like, you know what? Yes, I do need to limit the number of postcards because we have to stay within a certain budget. So right now, what we chose on the previous screen, the max would be 209. If I say, hey, I want to take that down and I never want to spend more than this much or this much, I'll take it down to 169. So basically, we'll never charge you above that 169. So these months, you might be leaving some on the table that you're not reaching people. But then these other months down here, because of the area you chose, you'll probably even get charged less because there's just not that many people moving in those months. Okay, but if you set your cap, you'll never get charged more than that. Next step, this is where we watched that 3-minute video with Jake, but this is where you can choose, do you want to do it twice a month or once a month? So twice a month, what's interesting there is, you can have the same postcard hit those people twice in a month, or you can have a progressing message. So your first card will hit, and you can have a, hey, welcome, and then the second card could be, hey, now that as you're getting settled, so you can decide on that. We'll hit next, and this is where we extend the first mailing. Do you want to extend it? Yes. And I want to go back 6 months. Oh man, that's gonna, and that, I think we did a 2-mile radius for this one. 6 months would add $1,900 to your first mailing. Maybe we have that budgeted, maybe we don't. So maybe I'll just want to go back 2 months, and then it shows you exactly how much that will add to the first mailing. And then you decide, you know what, no, we don't want to do that, just hit no. And then, we can move through the next steps. And then this is where we do the design. So if you have your own design that you want to add in, you can choose that, and then our team will follow up with you later. And you can upload that design through that process, that follow-up process. Or if you need us to fully design it for you, we have a team that can do it. But let's say, this one here, this welcome with the doormat, I think it's still one of the top designs. So we'll choose that. We want to use that for the first one. And this one's pretty cool too. Welcome. Let's do this one. Welcome to the neighborhood. Sure, let's do this one. And I just want to point out that with this, we also do variable data on the printing itself, not just the address. So as you can see, it's kind of small, but it says Jones family. And over on the doormat one, it says Smith family. So just a little bit of variable data, with the personalization, is supposed to increase response rates. So I want to use this one for the second design. Hit the next step. Yes, that looks good. I'll add to cart. When you go through the cart process, it's going to be $0 because nothing is being charged yet. We're waiving the setup fee. But that basically will just get the process going. So then our team will follow up, verify postage rates, and verify design changes and everything with you. Then once approved, the proofs are approved, then it gets into the queue, and then we'll run it on that monthly cadence. So great solution. I love to call it automated outreach, and you're reaching people at that critical time where they're going through those life changes, where they're more receptive to visiting a church. So, all right, any additional questions? Okay, Deborah, I got your address here. I will try that for yours as well. And then if anyone wants to jump in with any questions and so on, feel free to do that. So Deborah, this Alabama 2 miles, I'd say is probably too small. You only have 22 people at a max.
Right.
Average is 12. So I'd probably select region and go.
Yeah, 5 miles is probably
Yeah.
reasonable for us.
Yeah. So
Whereas
I'll do
over here in the mountain, there aren't many people.
Yeah. So 5, you're good, but there's a couple months that fall below. So if you're already going to be paying the minimum, I would say probably expand out a little bit more to make sure that you're at least getting enough cards to cover the minimum. So I'm going to select region and I'm going to do this. There we go. So everyone's well above. Maybe I want to deselect some of these that are on the other side of this highway here.
Right.
I know here in Chattanooga, it's like, if you're on this side of the river, you don't go to that side of the river.
That's correct.
Uh,
And that is a major highway, so people don't like to come across.
yeah. Not that we don't love them. It's just
Right.
a barrier to get.
And being Alabama, it's very church dense. So
Yes, right. Then over here, I'm looking at this and it's like, boy, there's a lot of trees and forests here.
right.
I
Your-
might want to
Your
deselect.
cursor is right about where I live, and there are like 11 houses on our road, so
Yeah,
we would deselect that.
that's probably why the carrier route, as you can see,
Mm-hmm.
here and here. So it's probably not going to change things much by deselecting that, but we'll go ahead and do it anyways. So anyways, there you go. It gives you the
Right.
idea, and then you can go through and figure out your limits.
How current are the maps that you're getting?
Yeah, we're doing this. We run the data I think twice a month, definitely once a month. And and somebody made a comment earlier, I forget who it was, but he said something about, people who are deceased. Can we make sure that people who are deceased are not getting these? We do a lot of, our data providers do a lot to try to prevent that from happening. And I'd say overall they do a really great job with it, but it can still slip through. And what happens is, somebody, like, we'll get somebody that calls, like, a relative that's like, hey, this person's been dead for 3 years. How dare you? You call yourself a Christian, how I'm never coming to your church. Like, take it to the extreme, right? And that's a chance to show empathy to that person. Hey, we're so sorry. Here's some information to add them to a do not mail list. But what happens is, well, why would somebody get it if they're 3 years, right? The way that data works is if there's any kind of, it's based off of a change of address, right? And so if there's a change address and then the new address falls in that area that you had selected, then that's going to trigger it to come up on this data. Douglas, I see that. Grab that and do it. But say, so 3 years later, why would that happen? Well, somebody is doing a state cleanup, and they're just now getting to a couple things that have been lingering, and then they do a change of address, and it comes. So that would trigger it. So again, we do everything we can to try to avoid that, but it does happen from time to time.
Okay.
Yeah. So Douglas sent an address in Cape Coral, Florida. All right. So let's put that in. We'll leave it at 2 miles just to see what comes up. Again, there's those addresses, instructions. All right. So 2 miles got us an average of 105 people a month. All right. So that would be $82.95 if you have nonprofit. Pretty cool area over here. I'm guessing, you could decide, do you want to hit people on the island? Or do you want to hit,
No, island people live on the island. They don't like to come over. It's the same as the highway. It's the same thing.
Yep, exactly. Totally get it. So then you could choose, which of these neighborhoods makes sense. This one, you got probably some houses here, maybe, but if you deselect it, you're going to lose this neighborhood.
And that's a good neighborhood. So what if we did 5 miles? Like if I want to hit all of Cape Coral, because you drive all Cape Coral in 17 minutes, right? From one end to the other.
Yeah. So there you go, 5 miles. And interesting, it did leave out the island. So interesting, it chose this way up here.
Yeah, which we don't want because that's already Punta Gorda, which is another city.
Right. Yeah, so I deselect that one.
And you can deselect the bottom thing, whatever that is too.
What about this guy out here? This is interesting.
No, you want him out. That's somebody who knows who that is too. All right, cool.
What's interesting? Look at this little dot right in the center.
Yeah.
Oh,
wow, it's part of the same like zip code or something.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense to me, but it makes sense to the government for some reason. So with that zip code, so this would basically be 5 miles without a couple of those upper and lower areas, and then maximize it. Let's zoom in here. Yeah, so just that area there, that's 325 people per month on average, which is pretty interesting. But it doesn't look like 5 miles, but pretty condensed, looks like.
And then if I have the nonprofit pricing, what would I be paying a month for that?
256 on average. Your max would be 348. And the max month, that'd be 441 people according to this, which looks like January is your high, May is a big month, and October is a big month in your area.
So if I did like usually, what do you guys suggest to do? Like this is a yearly thing, this is a one-time thing, this is
So this new mover, it's monthly.
Monthly. Okay. So if I were to do the 5 mile for about 325 people, I'm paying between $256 to $348 per month. So whatever the average of that is times 12, it'll be like almost like $3,600, right?
Times 12, yeah, probably around there. Yep.
And that would get me, let me see, 325 times 12, right?
Yeah.
So like about 4,000 people coming to my church if we were to go full budget on that 5 mile radius.
Now, keep in mind, this is just the total amount of people that you'll be reaching, and then you have to go down the path of conversion rates and so on. But
it's the reach. Like they'll get a mailer, so I'll have the potential of reaching about 4,000 new movers to my area. And then from those 4,000, what is the ROI on that you said? Is it 5%, 2%, 3%?
Yeah, typical mailing, like the deck that we just went through, that presentation we just went through, I think it was like 0.6 to 1.5% return. That's on a cold one. But keep in mind that new movers, there's a couple factors in here. So new movers, you've got, you're hitting them at a time in their life where they're open to change. So results can go up. And then there's also the key things that you can put on your card to help with that return. So, if you have what we suggest oftentimes is like, hey, bring this card in for a free gift, then that can help get people to maybe be incentivized to come in. It's just what are you putting on that card? How clear are you making it? Another thing to note is that when we send the monthly invoice of, hey, here's the number of cards that went out, here's your receipt, we also give you that list of people that we sent it to. So you can use that to then follow up with those people if you like. And the more follow-up that you have, I'd say higher potential return. So technically with our licensing of that list, you're not supposed to use it for another mailing, but you can use it with prayer teams. You can go door to door and deliver them gifts, all kinds of different ideas that you can do with that.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
The other,
Another about that, Douglas, too, is that, we talked about 3 natural church growth rhythms that we always want to do outreach, but what's cool about New Movers is it's always doing outreach all year long for you as well.
yeah. And the other thing to keep in mind is, it's when we talked about consistency earlier on, it's like that might just be only one touch point for that person. And maybe like spiritually, they're ready for that. Or maybe they're getting it. It's like, can't believe I get this from a church right now. I just went through a divorce and, you just don't know where people are at in their life, right? And so what stage are you hitting those people? Like what stage of touch points are you hitting those people? Is it touch number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, right? And so that's where the consistency of all the other elements come in with the social media and different mailers throughout the year and invite cards and billboards and whatever. And so that's where it's like, well, which things should I do? I'd say, well, how can we figure out how to do multi-touch throughout the year in multiple ways? For as many mediums as possible, church bulletin board or community bulletin boards, whatever, right? Yeah. Right.
Thank you.
Yeah, Douglas, man, that's great. Appreciate you. All right. Well, we are over. I'm glad that we were able to do a couple walkthroughs of New Mover. I think it's really helpful to see, but also feel free to go to outreach.com and, just test it out for yourself. We've got a whole team of church consultants that are talking to churches all day, every day. They love what they do. We're on mission, with what we do. And so anything we can do to help answer questions, give ideas, help make something that feels daunting and overwhelming really easy for you, we're super happy to do that. So cool. Tim, you want to pray us out?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Father, we come before you and we thank you for these opportunities and these churches that have come to look for advice. Father God, we pray that everybody was able to grab and hold on to something that they could use to help reach their communities and grow their churches. Father, we just pray for each one of them to bless them, open doors for them, open hearts for them to come into their services, Lord. And Father, we just give you all the glory and honor and all that you're doing and working in the hearts in our communities in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen. Well, hey, everyone, thank you so much for joining. And a lot of people still stayed on even through this end. So appreciate you. Bless you. And here's to a great fall season as we, transition from summer into this next ministry season. So have a good rest of your day and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks.